So I want to talk about survival programming and creative intelligence and how those things interact, where they both come from, and how we can move forward in our expansion, knowing that this programming is going to continue to come up within us to be dissolved. So creative intelligence is your intuition. That's your inner guidance system. It's rooted in a network of creation. It's part of the network that allows this experience to be what it is, allows your body to be in form, allows a tree, a plant, an animal to live life and life to be sustained here in this dimension. Survival programming is rooted in the surface level society reality that we've been programmed to believe is real and all there is, and that we have to participate in order to survive. So the survival programming is rooted in our disconnection from our creative intelligence. It's not in the network of creation itself. And so it speaks in a different language, and it runs on our consent to continue that programming in our body. That's why it's so loud when we go against it. Anytime we follow our intuition, we're going to rub up against the programming that's in direct resistance to that choice that we made from our intuition. This is what comes up as doubt and fear and confusion and resistance to that choice, and the ultimate question of, is this real? Can I trust myself? Is what I'm feeling actually real? You know, those types of things and sensations. That is the programming, and that's the root of the programming, is us questioning ourselves. Can we trust our internal process and our internal feeling? That is how creative intelligence talks to us. It's not a language, it's a knowing, it's a feeling, it's a sensation in the body. It's a full yes, it's a full no. Survival programming is more surface, more complex, more forceful, more wanting you to move a certain way with urgency, right? Because essentially it's in your body to protect you from death. Survival programming is you running through life and navigating life through the lens of I don't want to die. And creative intelligence is you moving through life and navigating through the lens of I want to live fully. So that's what's being, counteracted. Now, when those sensations come up, it doesn't mean that your intuition is going back on itself, okay? You got a hit, you have a knowing, and you're moving that way, you make that choice. And then all this programming comes up being like, ooh, was that the right choice? Should I actually be doing this? Is this real? Can I do this? That's the programming. And you're never not gonna have that until you reach a level that's, pure creative intelligence moving. But these programs run really deep. So we have to be prepared for when that happens and recognize them for what they are. It's us trying to protect ourselves from a feeling or sensation, and ultimately from death. The programming itself is a construct of a trauma that we had based off of multiple experiences or one big experience that installed the program in us. So, for example, let's say you grew up in a house that was very neglectful and abusive, and so you learned that your expression doesn't matter, and that your opinion doesn't matter, and your truth has no say in anything. And anytime you did express yourself, it was ridiculed or criticized. So over time, you learned to just not say anything, and that your opinion didn't matter. That's the program that was installed in you based on the mirroring your environment gave you early on. So now you're moving through life, and your intuition says, oh, it's time for you to share. It's time for you to express yourself more and speak your truth. And those moments, you freak out because you're rubbing up against that programming that is telling you that your opinion doesn't matter, and it's better to just stay quiet and keep the peace. That programming is protecting you from the sensation of the initial neglect and abuse and ridicule that you felt as a child early on from your early environment. So it's protecting you from that sensation that you were not able to feel fully or safely in your body because you didn't know how. And it directly affected your survival of that environment. That's how you adapt. That's how you create the construct of self. Now I'm someone that is just go with the flow, and I'm quiet, and I don't have an opinion or a strong opinion. I just harmonize with the group. But that's not actually you. That's the program constructing a version of you that can survive those environments where you're abused or neglected or ridiculed. Now, your intuition is always going to make you do things that is going to counteract the programming of surviving environments that are not conducive to you. It's going to bring up those things because that is the ticket for your expansiveness and your conscious awareness to move into new levels. So when that does happen, let's say you do make the move to do that thing and you express yourself, that programming is going to be really loud and it's going to be kind of terrible, and you just have to sit in it. You have to sit in it and you have to recognize those sensations are your body wanting to express itself. Underneath the story of all those things is the trauma and the feeling, okay, that you were afraid to feel, but now you have to be the safety that allows you to feel that feeling in order to dissolve the program. If you bring that part of you that was quieted for so long into your reality now where their opinion does matter, it'll only take a couple of times for that version of you to feel comfortable with your own voice and your own opinion and your own perspective and be able to share. When you do that, the program doesn't hold any weight anymore. And your body is trained to recognize that your expression is safe and that it's actually received well. But by that time, it doesn't even matter if it's received well because you already pushed through the programming that you're not allowed or safe to do that. You counteract the programming by moving in the direction of your intuition, and that allows it to dissolve in real time. You're showing your body that it is safe to actually be that way. It was just not safe in that environment with that young version of you. So your intuition's always going to bring you into those spaces within yourself that you're not allowing to be expressed. Because expression is what this is all about. That's how you live life. That's how you act on your intuition. Now, another example is a bigger one tied to survival, right? So let's say you are in a job that you hate and you're finally like, I'm done with it, I don't care, I'm done with that reality, and I'm moving in this direction that's telling me not to be at that job anymore. And I don't know what's next, right? But I know I'm not going back to that. That's a big one, right? That runs really deep because it does touch our physical needs and our like primal needs as a body. So when we do that, we make that choice, we're feeling good, and then all the doubt comes in. All the fear comes in. What if I'm going to be homeless? What if I won't survive? What if I die? What if nothing supports me? What if this is the wrong choice? All of that stuff, and however it looks to you, will come up and be very loud. Very, very loud. Those scenarios I find are best if you just accept what the program is telling you. So you no longer give it authority. It has no authority over your decision making because you're making decisions from your intuition now, fully, and you're recognizing that the programming will come up and that's part of this process. But if the program is saying, okay, well, like, what if we become homeless? Like, oh my God, just be like, yeah, okay. If I'm homeless because of this decision, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. I'll be able to figure it out. I'm capable, right? I can love myself even if I'm homeless. If it's, I'm gonna die if I do this, which it will feel like death in your body because it is a death of a programmed self, a version of this self that was operating in that programming. That's what's dying, and it does feel like death in your body. If your fear is physical death from this decision, You have to be so okay with that. You know, if you go out of this planet and this experience from the decision of, at least I followed my truth, is that the worst way to go out? No. And that's the stubbornness, that's like the grit you need to have to actually walk this path and recalibrate your body completely into creative intelligence, where you're trusting that you are supported to do this. And life will show you, because you are supported to do this. Every decision I've ever made in my life from my intuition that was a big move that, you know, kind of stripped my old life completely, it slingshotted me into a reality where I was even more supported to do this work and to hone in on my craft. And it required me to step up in new ways, right? And I'm going against my own programming with that, but it's never failed me. I've been homeless multiple times, but I've always had a place to stay. I've always had food to eat. You know, I've always had what I needed in that moment. And that's what you're doing. You're attuning yourself to the actual present moment where your needs are met and you can be okay with that. That's what builds self-trust and ultimately trust in reality and trust in life. You're trusting this creative intelligence that is your actual makeup, and you're doing that through going against what it is not, which is that survival programming. And ultimately, the survival programming is you living from a place of, I don't want to die. I don't want to die, so I'm going to do all these things that I don't actually want to do, but I feel like I have to do, or else I'm going to die. Creative intelligence is not running on that directive or foundation. Creative intelligence is, I want to live. I want to live fully. I want to experience this life fully. And by doing that, I recognize that death is an illusion. Yes, we die. Yes, our bodies die, but the creative intelligence within us lives on. So it's the death of the programmed self that we experience through following our creative intelligence, our intuition. And then you realize that death is an illusion. It's the illusion of society, and what's that's built on is our fear of death and our lack of acceptance of death. If you accept death completely, you will live life fully. And that happens through the reps of you making choices from your creative intelligence, even though the programming is telling you, if you do this, you're going to die. You won't. You won't. Life will truly always catch you. Always catch you. Because life supports life. Creation supports creation. That's how you expand and exponentially grow and expand your consciousness in working with this energy within yourself. But you have to do that by deprogramming. And that means doing the hard thing that is going against everything in your mind. It's not going against what's in your body, it's going against what's in your mind. If you can withstand that and be with yourself in that, you be the safe space to feel those feelings and the traumas underneath that programming, it will dissolve and you'll realize, oh my gosh, that was just something I was holding. But it's not actually me. It was just what I was holding. And now I'm not holding it anymore. And so I can actually feel my intuition even more. I'm more connected. I feel more trust within myself. And I'm capable of moving in that way. And I'm capable of going against my programming again and again and again, because I'm recognizing what this process is. Creating a life rooted in the network of creative intelligence, of actual reality, is this push and pull of your survival programming and your intuition. The survival programming only lives and feeds on your disconnection to yourself and your creative intelligence, truly. That's what perpetuates it, because we make a choice from our intuition and then we feel the programming, we get so scared and we can't feel those feelings or sit with them or be with them. So then we make a choice based on the programming and then we perpetuate that, which proves to ourselves that our intuition is not something that we can follow, but we didn't actually go through the whole process. It keeps us stuck and stagnant in that way of being. When if you can just hold true and accept whatever happens, happens because I'm actually following this and I know it to be true. And if it's not true, then I don't really want to be in this reality anyways. If you can't listen to your intuition and follow your highest guidance and your most true, authentic self, do you want to be in this reality anyways? If you're not going to be supported doing that? No. That's how you kind of accept the death that happens and how you hold that position. And again, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. The programmed self dies. The version of you that is so scared to live will die. And that's us going through that internal process. It's all internal. And we watch our reality shapeshift to meet the choices that we're making from our creative intelligence. Life is truly supporting us, and it will support us in ways that we can't see when we're operating from the programming. We're taught to believe that we have to, spend all this time and then we make money and then we pay to live here, and we have all these systems set up that we have to plug into in order to survive. Creation doesn't need that stuff. Creation provides in ways that are beyond the scope of that directive, of that web of survival society. But you won't be able to actually feel or see that or experience it if you don't allow yourself to step into it and move through the fire of the programming rearing its head in your face, screaming at you to go the other way, to stay where you are. That's the cost. But again, if you know what this is, if you know what that is when it comes up, it doesn't have authority over you. You can feel all the fear in your entire body and still recognize that it's just fear. It's just a sensation. It doesn't have to dictate how you move. You can feel all the doubt, and again, it doesn't hold weight to what it is that you're actually doing. And that's you recalibrating from survival mode and listening to that programming as your authority and coming into authorship as a creator of your reality by following your creative intelligence. There's already patterns and designs that want to come into form through you, but it's going to touch your deepest layers of programming. That's how this works. That's what we're doing here. We're transmuting that old way of being into one that is actually true for us and real and expansive and inclusive of all of the life around us. It's aware of the life around us and within us and our power. That's how you work with reality, as reality itself. So any move that you make, it has to come from your intuition. And if you don't know what that move is yet, don't make a decision. Don't make a decision until it's clear in your body that that's your intuition and that's what you're moving towards. And it'll be uncomfortable. It'll probably scare you. But you have to recognize that there's a self that you've created to be in society. That's the one that's scared. The programming is scared. The programmed self is scared. The intuition, the creative intelligence within you, not scared. Not scared. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of. So you just move in that direction and you train yourself to be that. And at first it's loud and difficult, and it might, you might make this choice and it'll take you out for a little bit, right? As your system recalibrates. But just move through that process. Be kind to yourself. Be soft and gentle. You can't force the body to surrender. That's a paradox. You have to soften into that and accept it and be like, okay, I made this choice and I got it. I got me. The more you do that, life has you. And you see that, you feel that. And so it's not so scary. Then the programming just becomes part of the process of your expansion, and you know that that's what that is. And so your expansion doesn't scare you. It's just okay, today I'm having a programmy day and I'm gonna move through that. And your body will become more attuned to how to do that and express yourself. You'll get out of the way more and allow it to move through you, and it'll dissolve more quickly. So in the beginning, it might take a long time, but after a while, it takes a day or half a day or a couple hours or a minute. You know, you really ramp this up and the safety in your body, bringing these traumas into light and these versions of us that are terrified to actually live. Because at one point it was terrifying to live in the environment that we were in. And it was like, if this is life, then I don't want to be here, you know? But that piece of you that was like, you know, I'm just gonna hold on because it might be different, that's the piece of you to follow. That's your intelligence, that's your intuition being like, that's not all there is, you know? Let's welcome a new way and see where that takes us instead, because it's worth exploring. Okay, I hope this was helpful.